It started as an innocent childhood game, like a simple round of hide and seek that turned into the worst night of their lives. It was 1998, a cold October evening in a small town in Pennsylvania. Three friends, Mark, Julia, and Ben, were spending the night at Mark's old family house, a two-story structure with creaky floors and a basement that had always been off limits. The kids had heard stories from Mark's grandfather that something lived down there, but being 12 years old, they didn't believe in ghosts. They just wanted some adventure. Around 9 p.m., when the wind howled and the trees scratched the windows, Julia suggested they play hide and seek in the dark. Mark hesitated, saying his parents always kept the basement locked because of a strange smell that came from below. But Ben laughed and said, "What's the worst that could happen?" They turned off the lights, set the rules, no going outside, and no flashlights, and the game began. Julia counted to 20 while the boys scattered. Mark went upstairs, and Ben, always the daring one, sneaked toward the basement door. To his surprise, the door wasn't locked. It was slightly open, just enough to tempt him. The smell hit him first, a mix of rust, mold, and something metallic. He stepped down carefully, each wooden stair creaking under his weight. The air grew colder with every step. When Julia finished counting, she called out, "Ready or not, here I come!" Her voice echoed through the dark halls, playful but uneasy. She found Mark hiding under a sheet upstairs, both giggling quietly, unaware of where Ben had gone. Minutes passed, then an hour. They called his name, first playfully, then in fear. No answer. Mark's flashlight flickered as they made their way to the basement. "Ben, come on, we're done playing!" Mark called out, but what answered wasn't Ben's voice. It was a whisper, low and raspy, mimicking his words. "Ben, come on!" The flashlight flickered again, revealing for a second a shadow that wasn't theirs, standing in the corner of the basement, long and distorted. Julia screamed and ran upstairs, but Mark froze. He swore he saw Ben's shoe sticking out from behind an old furnace. When he approached, heart hammering, he realized the shoe was still attached to a foot, but the leg bent at an impossible angle. Mark fainted before he could scream. The police later found Ben's body in the basement, but something was wrong. He had been missing for 3 days before that night. Yet Mark and Julia had seen him alive that evening. The official report said it was a tragic accident, but Julia swore she saw a second face in the darkness behind Ben's body, pale, grinning and whispering his name. Years later, Julia still can't sleep with the lights off. She says sometimes when the room gets too quiet, she hears counting.
1, 2,
3, followed by a child's laugh. The basement of that house was sealed off permanently, but neighbors say they sometimes hear scratching beneath the floorboards at night. Some say it's rats. Others say it's the game that never ended. If you're listening to this, remember, never play hide and seek in a place where light doesn't reach, because you never know what's hiding with you. In 2013, a teenage girl named Lily moved with her family into a century-old house in Oregon. The place had character, high ceilings, wooden beams, and an attic that creaked with every gust of wind. On her first day, the landlord jokingly said, "You'll never feel alone here." Lily thought it was weird, but she brushed it off. A few weeks later, her younger brother Timmy invited some neighborhood kids over. They decided to play hide and seek while their parents were out for dinner. The house was huge, filled with perfect hiding spots. Lily, being the oldest, agreed to count first. When she reached 50, she started searching, giggling as she found one friend behind the curtains, another under the bed. But Timmy, he was nowhere to be found. She checked the kitchen, the living room, even the basement. Nothing. Finally, she heard faint tapping sounds coming from above, the attic. "Gotcha," she whispered, thinking she'd caught him at last. She climbed the narrow ladder and pushed the attic door open. The air was stale and thick with dust. "Timmy?" she called out softly, her flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. The tapping stopped. Then came a whisper, a child's voice, faint but clear. "Lily, come hide with me." Her heart skipped. That wasn't Timmy's voice. It was softer, slower, like someone imitating him. "Timmy, quit it, this isn't funny." She shouted. Silence. Then, she saw movement in the far corner and a small shadow crouched low. When she aimed the flashlight, the shape vanished. She ran down screaming, only to find Timmy standing by the front door crying. "I couldn't find you," he said. "I thought you were the one hiding." Lily was shaken, but things got worse over the next few days. At night, she would hear scratching above her ceiling, Slow, deliberate scratches and followed by giggles. Once she woke up to the sound of soft counting coming from the attic. 1, 2, 3. She begged her parents to check, but they found nothing except old boxes and dust. Until one morning, when her mom found small footprints on the attic floor, bare, child-sized, and leading to the edge where there was no exit. One night, determined to end the fear, Lily decided to confront whatever it was. She climbed into the attic again with her phone flashlight recording. "I know you're here," she whispered. "What do you want?" The air turned icy, her breath visible. From behind her came a voice bars close to her ear, whispering, "Play again." Her phone dropped as she screamed, the light spinning on the wooden floor, capturing a glimpse of a pale child's face crawling out from the shadows with hollow eyes. Lily was found unconscious the next morning. Her parents moved out immediately. When the new family moved in a few years later, they reported hearing laughter from the attic and found small handprints pressed against the ceiling. The neighbors say no one ever stays long in that house. And when the wind blows just right, you can hear a little voice whispering, "Ready or not." So if you ever hear that voice when you're alone, don't hide. Run. Because once you start playing their game, they never let you stop. Moral and outro. These stories may sound like legends, but they're all based on real events told by people who wish they hadn't played that game. Hide and seek seems harmless until you realize that sometimes something else is seeking you. If you enjoyed this spine-chilling tale and want to hear more true horror stories that will keep you awake at night, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Every week we bring you new nightmares, true encounters, and dark stories that crawl beneath your skin. Turn on the bell icon because the next time we upload, you'll want to know before they find you first.